Hey everyone! Today our read aloud is going to be a drama. Remember, we've talked about drama and how it's like a play. So there's going to be a list of characters and there's going to be show you what each character's saying. So we're going to be reading a drama. It's a really good drama called The Juice Box Bully. But while we're reading this drama, we're going to be looking at the characters and thinking about character traits. We've talked about this before, but this is going to be really tricky because there are no pictures in our book. So you're going to have to use clues from the text to figure out the external traits, which is hair color, clothing, height, facial expressions, actions, what the character's doing on the outside. Remember, those are external traits. The internal traits are the thoughts and words and feelings the character's feeling on the inside. So while we read our drama called Juice Box Bully, I want you to be thinking about the characters and getting a mental image. That means you're listening to the text and you're creating your own picture in your mind. So here we go. The Juice Box Bully, empowering kids to stand up for others. This is written by Bob Sorensen and Maria Dismondi. Okay. The Juice Box Bully. So here's the characters. Mr. Peltzer, David, Pete, Ruby, Ralph, Lucy, Narrator 1, and Narrator 2. Okay, let's start our story. Narrator 1. As Pete stood in front of his new class, Mr. Peltzer announced. Mr. Peltzer, let's welcome Pete to our team. Pete, you will be sitting behind Ralph. Narrator 2. Settling into his seat, Pete pulled his hat down over his head so that only his eyes could be seen. Turning around, Ralph warned him. Ralph, they don't allow hats in class here. Pete snarls. You're not my mother. Narrator 1. After giving an assignment, Mr. Peltzer walked around the class and quietly asked Pete to remove his hat. Once he walked away, Pete poked Ralph. Pete growls and pokes Ralph. Thanks a lot. Okay, let's think about external traits right now. So we already know from clues from the text that Pete's wearing a cap, right? That's an external trait. He's got a cap on it. He pulled it down over his head. So that's a clue about what Pete is wearing. A clue from the text, the external trait. Okay, let's keep reading. Ralph, hi Pete, do you want to get into the game? Oh wait, I skipped a line. Sorry guys. Let's go back to Narrator 2. Later that day at recess, Pete didn't ask to join the soccer game. Instead, he watched. So he's just standing at recess watching them play soccer. Do y'all think he's wanting to play? If he's watching them? Probably. Ralph, hi Pete, do you want to get into the game? Pete, not with those nerds. I don't like those kids. Wow. Was Pete being very nice right then? He called the kids all nerds. That's not nice. Ralph, what do you want to do? Pete, smiling spitefully. Let's steal the ball. We're bigger than them. We can have our own game. Let's pause right there. Let's go back here. So now we've met Ralph and Pete. We know that Pete's wearing a baseball cap. And we know that Ralph right now is playing soccer. So those are external traits. We know Pete's wearing a baseball cap. Ralph obviously has a soccer ball and is playing soccer. So I want you to pause right here. We're not going to finish the story. We will in a minute. Pause right here and click to the next slide. On the next slide, I want you to write one of the characters that we've already discussed in the story, either Ralph or Pete, and give me one external trait. That's something that you've heard clues from the text and you've picked up on from reading the story. One external trait on the next slide. And then we'll finish the story after you do that. So click to the next slide, fill out the slide, and then click to the next slide to finish the story.